Hi, welcome to Foodie Gourmets. Today we'll be making molasses sugar cookies. It's a favorite recipe of mine. This is what we're going to be making. Won't you join us? My name is Adam. I'm going to be showing you how to make some delicious molasses cookies today. They're a recipe that has been passed down to my family for a couple of generations, and it's a great recipe for holidays or just any time really. So let's go ahead and get started, shall we? So we've got all our ingredients here. First thing you're going to want to start off, with a cup and a half of melted margarine. Just about any margarine will do. You just want to melt it in the microwave, get it nice and liquidy. Just kind of pour it into our stand mixer here. Okay, next thing we want to do is we're going to add 2 cups of granulated sugar. Just add that right into the mixer. And we just kind of want to get it good and incorporated. Just mix it, turn it on low to medium low just to start off. Just get all the butter and the sugar nice and incorporated here. We're going to start doing all the wet ingredients first. Okay, once we have that, we're going to go ahead and we're going to add about a half a cup of molasses. Now you can use regular molasses or blackstrap molasses. Either one works good for this recipe. Here I'm using just regular unsulfured molasses. It's very sticky, very kind of gooey, so you want to be careful with that. I find that a plunger mixing cup works very well for this recipe. Just try to get all the molasses in there. Okay. Go ahead and incorporate that again. Again at medium-low. And it smells great, by the way. That's a great thing about this recipe. There's you get a lot of the very aromatic, kind of almost holiday spice type feel to it. And then we're going to take 2 eggs. We're going to add that to our dough as well. Again, incorporate those as well. Once you get all the ingredients well incorporated, then you're going to go ahead and start adding the dry ingredients. Okay. Usually only takes a few seconds to get everything good and mixed. Okay. Now for the dry ingredients, we've got 4 cups of all-purpose flour. We have 4 teaspoons of baking soda. We've got 1 teaspoon of ground cloves, 2 teaspoons of cinnamon, and about a half a teaspoon of salt. You want to go ahead and just get everything well mixed together. You can use an egg beater, or if you have a sifter, just go ahead and sift everything together. Get it nice and mixed there. And you're going to want to go ahead and add the dry ingredients to the wet ingredients at about 3 equal portions. So we start with about 1/3 of the dry ingredients right there into the batter. And we don't want to turn it up too high, we just want to get it nice and incorporated. You're not really trying to aerate it, you're not really trying to get it really mixed very well. You just want to get all the ingredients mixed well together. You might need to turn it up a little bit higher. Just get everything good and mixed. Okay, we've got the first 1/3, add another 1/3. Again, start off low, otherwise you'll get a big cloud of your dry ingredients exploding in your face. And the dough will start to form, it'll start to get sticky and kind of all combine together. You get this really, really lovely looking brown color from the molasses. Okay, we add the last little bit, and again, just combine, starting off slow till all the dry ingredients start to combine, and you just want to mix it just a little bit faster. Oops. There we go. Okay. So it doesn't really take a whole lot. You get like this really, really luscious, lovely looking brown dough, which if you're like me and you just gotta sample it just a little bit, just make sure everything's good. Perfect, wonderful. Now, once you have the dough, the molasses makes the dough very, very sticky. So it's kind of hard to work with. So what you need to do is you can't really just go ahead and make this dough and immediately start baking with it. You want to chill the dough overnight or for at least 3 to 4 hours, just to kind of let it become a little less sticky, becomes a little less, just a little less gooey, a lot easier to manage with. So just kind of take your bowl off. Actually, go ahead and you can usually use just the same bowl that you mix the dry ingredients with, because the bowl will be nice and floured so nothing will stick to the bowl. Just kind of get everything worked together. Just kind of transfer it to just a good sized bowl. Get every last little bit in there. Okay, that works pretty good. Make a little mess there. Okay. So, what you want to do, just get a little bit of cling wrap, cover this up, and put it in the fridge for overnight. Now you got to be careful with that because this dough is really tasty. My mom would always have to be very careful about this, is that she'd have to warn us not to be sneaking little bits of dough. She would come through the next day to go get the dough to start making the cookies, and she would notice all little handprints in there from us grabbing little bits of it, because tasty bits of frozen dough, delicious, absolutely wonderful. So, got to be careful about that, avoid the temptation. So again, we just stick it in the refrigerator for about at least 3 to 4 hours or overnight, whichever you want. So then you'll end up having a nice chilled block of dough right there. And you'll be ready to start forming the dough to be baking. So what you want to do is preheat your oven to 375 degrees. I've got my oven here set and ready to go. So what you want to do is you're going to start rolling these dough in about a golf ball size portion of dough. You get about that and roll it in just plain granulated sugar. About a half a cup will do, just put it in a bowl. I usually just grab just a good sized spoon will work. The dough will be kind of hard. And get about, like I said, about a golf ball size works. And you just want to roll it together. Just kind of form it in your hands. This is the reason why you want it to be nice and cold, because the molasses will make things very sticky. Your hands will get really messy in a very short time, and it becomes hard to work with, so you got to make sure the dough is nice and cold. Just roll it around, just make sure you get a nice coating of sugar on there, and just kind of place it on your baking sheet. I like to use a silicone baking mat for when I'm baking any kind of cookies. It makes things a lot easier to clean up. It bakes very well. So this recipe is a lot of fun to have kids help you with, because the kids love just kind of getting their hands dirty, making the balls, roll them in sugar. Got to make sure they don't lick their fingers in between. Of course, I have that problem sometimes too. Okay. And this recipe itself makes about 3 dozen cookies. So get a good amount of cookies. You may want to get a couple different pans of cookies done at a time, just because otherwise it can take a while to bake everything together. You can, while you're waiting for the one batch of cookies to cook, you can just go ahead and put the dough back in the freezer if you're worried about it getting warm or getting all soft and messy again. But I find that for the most part, if you just you can just leave it on the counter, it should be fine. But some people in my family, some will go ahead and refreeze the dough, some will just kind of go ahead and just leave it as it is. Now these cookies are great for around the time of Thanksgiving or Christmas. The clove and the cinnamon really kind of gives you that evocative feeling of the holidays. But you know, I find that just about anytime you want a really good sugar cookie with just a little bit more flavor than just a regular sugar cookie, these are great. They'll bake up really moist and chewy in the center from all that molasses, and the outside will be nice and crispy. It's got a cookie with a great texture. Okay, so we go ahead, we have our cookies here set and ready to go. So we go ahead, place it in our oven, again at 375 degrees. Just go ahead and place it in the center rack for about 8 to 10 minutes. You almost kind of want to undercook these cookies just because they will continue to cook on the tray once you bring them out. And you want them, when they come out, they'll be slightly rounded in the center with a few cracks running around the top, but you want them to kind of go ahead and settle. That'll give you kind of that soft, really chewy center with a nice crispy edge is what you're looking for. So this recipe was actually given to us by a family friend, a neighbor who said, well, if you really want to try a really good cookie recipe, I've got one for you. It's kind of a little different, but uses kind of some old ingredients, molasses and cinnamon and stuff like that. But go ahead and try it. I know the first time I had a molasses cookie, I couldn't believe how good they tasted. I thought there was something special to it. And you realize it's a very simple recipe when it comes down to it. It's just got a little bit few different ingredients that people don't really normally use. And it's just such a great, flavorful take on a regular sugar cookie that if you're looking for something just a little bit different, try it sometimes. It's really, really great. A couple of things when making these cookies. Some people have always asked me, why don't you use butter instead of margarine when making these cookies? Well, a couple of reasons. With cookie baking, margarine is usually better just because it gives you that nice rounded top when it first comes off. The margarine, it'll keep that nice chewy center, whereas if you use butter, the cookies will actually stay rounded. They'll have more of kind of a cakey consistency. So for cakier type cookies, you do want to use butter. But for more kind of flatter, chewier cookies, margarine is really good. It also gives you that nice crispy outside ring, which these cookies are very well known for, which gives it just that wonderful crunch when you bite into it in the nice chewy soft center. Like I said before, you can use different kinds of molasses, whatever kind of molasses your store normally carries. You can use either blackstrap molasses or regular unsulfured molasses. I find the unsulfured molasses is a little bit more milder flavor than the blackstrap. So, but if you want that really good molasses flavor, go ahead and try the blackstrap molasses with that. Use the same amount, just different varieties. Now, a lot of people, when they first encounter these cookies, they automatically assume that this is a gingerbread cookie because you have that very spiciness flavor to it, but you know, they're always very surprised to find out there's actually no ginger in that. This is not ginger. It's just the cloves, the cinnamon, and the molasses in there. It gives that really spicy kind of holiday kind of flavor to it. But like I said, it's very tasty and you can use it really pretty much anytime. I've sometimes also tried, just for decorative sake, trying different colored sugars when I'm rolling the balls in there. The problem is the brown color from the molasses, it doesn't really show up very well with like some of the pink or the green or the blue colored casting sugar, so you can try that, but for the most part, I'd find it doesn't really help that much. Just plain old regular granulated sugar works really well. They're really nice around the holidays, especially you put them under like some twinkling Christmas lights, you know, by the Christmas tree, and just the sugar coating of the outside of the cookies, it gets that nice twinkle, and just kind of a nice little added bonus to that. Now, sometimes when you're rolling the balls in the sugar, you're gonna notice that you're gonna get a little extra sugar in the dough. Nothing wrong with that. Cookie dough has never been hurt by a little bit extra sugar, a little extra sweetness in there, so don't worry too much about that. Don't worry if your little balls of dough are not equal in size. It's part of the fun of making the cookies is, you know, you can tell they're handmade. They're not coming out of some sort of cookie press or cookie machine. You can really tell that these were made by somebody, by hand. Makes them that much more special. Like I said, right around about a golf ball in size is what you want to shoot for. Too much more, the cookies will be too flat and won't keep their consistency. Too little, they won't puff up enough, and they won't have that nice chewy center. So, as you can see, sometimes when you're, if the dough's been out for a little bit longer, they start to get a little stickier, and you gotta wash your hands in between each batch a little bit more often. Okay. Time to check just to see if the cookies are done right now. Typically it takes between 8 and 10 minutes. What you're looking for is a nice rounded top. Starting to notice some cracks forming on the top of it. And you're looking for a nice golden brown color around the outside. And to me, these look just about perfect. So I'm gonna go ahead and bring those out. As you can see, these ones have a nice rounded top. Noticing the small little cracks around there. The outsides are nice and golden brown. And when you take them out of the oven, what you want to do is you want to go ahead and let them rest. Do not touch them. Let them rest on the cookie sheet for about 5 to 8 minutes a piece. Just kind of let them settle. As you might be able to tell, it takes a little time. You might notice they're kind of sinking a little bit. The centers are kind of collapsing in on themselves, and the outside are staying nice and crispy. Once they've settled for about 5 to 10 minutes, and they're okay to transfer them to a cooling rack to let them finish cooling for the rest of, until they're nice and cool in room temperature. So as you can see, these molasses cookies are pretty simple to make, but a great holiday tradition, a great cookie to have anytime. You can have them as is, or if you like, you can even have them with a glass of your favorite white.